Hello, I'm Steve Prince, and you're listening to Nerd Network News.
Welcome in, Dark Hearts. Today it is our absolute pleasure to introduce Steve Prince to the show. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Yes, feel free to introduce yourself and your works to our listeners.
Well, a lot of you guys may know me as Derek Stephen Prince. That is the name that I had gone by for a very long time. A little bit of a not funny story. I initially wanted it to be Steve Prince. I mean, Derek Stephen Prince is my full legal birth name. I never used my first name. I did use my first name a while ago, like when I was a child, and without going into too much detail about it, there were a bunch of things that I didn't like about my childhood, semi-traumatizing in a way.
Oh dear.
That, it's like, if I could avoid having my first name being used, that would be great. But unfortunately, and this is dating myself and maybe some people watching, the original Flashdance movie, which came out in 1988, 7, 9, I don't know when it came out, but there was an extra in Flashdance who went by Steve Prince in SAG, and for those of you guys who may or may not know, Screen Actors Guild will only allow one person to use that name while they are living. So for the longest time, I had to go by my full name, and it wasn't until last year when I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just check just to see. Not that I was wishing this person dead, because that is not what I'm saying. But it was like, I wonder if this guy's still alive, because I would really like to start using just Steve Prince. And as it turned out, I guess the guy's not around anymore, so I was able to change it with SAG and just have now recently started that transition to my preferred first name. So,
That's awesome.
But I've been an actor my entire life. I started at the age of 9. Mostly did on-camera, stage stuff, commercials. Studied acting, theater growing up in elementary school and in junior high school and college. Got my BFA in musical theater from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. And after I moved to New York, realized that I did not like living out of a suitcase, because most of the jobs that I was doing at the time were touring companies. And it's like, yeah, that's great for the people who don't mind being a vagabond and just, traveling around and being a gypsy, but it wasn't really my thing. I'm originally from California, and so I decided to come back here through some connections that I was able to make while I was at Carnegie Mellon. I got a little bit of help, thankfully, and got back into acting on camera. And then after that, it was kind of just a transition from on camera and stage going into voiceover when I started taking some classes. And, one of my mentors, Bob Bergen, who I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he is the voice of Porky Pig and Tweety Bird, recommended that, I actually be serious about voiceovers, because he felt like I could do stuff with it. And thank goodness he pointed me in that direction, because I've never regretted it since. So, yeah.
That is so awesome. What would you say would be a big takeaway that you get from voicing? You must learn a lot about these characters you're voicing. What have they taught you?
A lot of the stuff that I learned when I initially was focusing on that as an actor, as far as getting into voiceovers, some of the people who helped me out were Bob Bergen, Rob Paulson. If you guys know Rob, he was, the voice of... He was in Pinky and the Brain. I can't remember which one he was. And he was in Animaniacs, and, so many great things. And Charlie Adler, and, most people probably know him now for Cow and Chicken. Sue Blue, who was a great voice director. I just learned so much from each and every single one of them, and I mean, a lot of it resonated with me from stuff that I had already learned as an actor, but it was just focusing it in a different way in front of a microphone. And, you know, once I started getting into actually getting some gigs, you know, people along the way that helped me were Tony Oliver, who is a great director, Scott Page Pactor, who was in charge of Power Rangers, and Richard Epcar, Michael Sorich. I mean, the list goes on and on as far as just the people who helped build the foundation that I called, you know, my voiceover work. So, you know, I wouldn't be here without them.
Oh, absolutely. That's so wonderful. Gosh, yeah. What has it been like jumping back into Uryu's shoes, going into a Bleach question, after 10 years?
Yeah, it's, you know, first and foremost, thank you. I mean, I'm glad things worked out better for Tite Kubo now than they had back then when he had stopped the series. But I mean, thankfully, you know, there was some unleft business that he obviously still had for all the fans and for himself as far as just completing this saga. And I, like a lot of voice actors, and this is not knocking anybody, it's just the nature of the beast as far as when we go in for stuff, especially when it's anime related, we have no idea sometimes what we're going in for. We just go in because we're asked to, because people know us and they said, hey, can you do this? Can you help us out? Can you do this voice? And we don't even remember the lines after we're done because it's just like boom, 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 in and out for 2 hours and you're done. And so doing research is almost like, why even bother doing it? It's just like, just do what you're told to do, and if you do a good job, then they'll tell you, you know, and if they need to bring you back because a line was said incorrectly, then they'll do that. Bleach is probably the only show that I can say to the full extent that I've been able to research that I have, and the reason that I wanted to do that was because I felt, coming back into it, I had no idea before I started doing my research how big of an arc this character would have for 1,000 Year Blood War. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, if I don't do this, I'm going to be not, I don't know the best way to put it, but it's like, I felt like I would be doing the fans a disservice. So I felt like I owed it to everybody to do as much research as I could do. I didn't read the mangas, I didn't go that far, but, you know, as far as just any research that I could get online to be able to help me. And, you know, every single time that I knew an episode was coming up that I was recording, I would always watch the OJ first so I could see what the original intention for the Japanese was, and then just adding some tweaks onto that for what they already did, and just, you know, using that as the foundation to build on, I felt was probably the best way to go. And so far, I mean, you know, I've heard stuff from people that they felt like I've been doing him justice. So hopefully, hopefully that's the case. You guys are going to be in for, those of you guys who haven't followed the manga and have no idea what's going on. And it's like, why is he being such an a-hole? You know, it's like, I promise you there's a reason for it. It may not make sense, but when you watch episode 30, I feel, you know, just coming out of recording that and doing it, that you guys will be satisfied with the outcome. And the writing is just amazing. And the art, I mean, you guys know if you've seen it, the artwork compared to the original series is like night and day. Even though a lot of it is with computer graphics, it's just like, oh my God, I'm like watching a piece of art come to life. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
As the memes I've been seeing, absolute cinema.
Yes, that definitely fits.
Yeah.
My goodness, you've also voiced such a wide range of characters. We were even looking, we were talking about Guts, the Kill la Kill character. You've gone from silly, serious, you've been some villains. Where do you land on the scale? Like, do you just love the silly or do you love the serious?
I mean, I love everything, and every time I get asked from somebody whenever I'm at a convention, like, who's your favorite character? It's like, you're asking me to pick my favorite child. It's like, I can't do that. They're all, I mean, obviously, the reason that any of us get picked to do a voice is because whoever's in charge of casting and in charge of production hears something that we bring to the table from our own lives and whatever, that we help make that character who they feel like it should be. I'm just grateful and I'm fortunate enough to be able to have done everything that I've done. It's crazy.
We're fortunate to have the excellent voice work. I mean, it's wonderful to see the craft grow by the decade when you're watching through anime or animation in general and see the live action, the theater element connecting with the voiceover element. And gotta say, with your roles in particular, you have done a wonderful job of that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But yes, getting back into, you know what? Voice acting versus live action acting. You've had some live roles too. What would you say are some of the preferences on both sides?
I love both. I think voice acting allows an actor to be able to do stuff that they would never be able to get cast in otherwise. It's like, if you're gonna cast a dog who just says guts constantly, right? You're gonna, find some AI for something that sounds like a dog and then just use that as opposed to a human person who's actually voicing the character, and the case with probably 3/4 of every single voice that I've been able to do, I would never get cast as that looking like this, it's because it is very fit into a box when you're on camera. It's like you either fit this person or you don't. And, the difference, I would say, in the worlds of the two are very, very different. I think voice in the voiceover world, it's much more forgiving in terms of, you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to act a certain way. You don't have to be a certain way. It's just, if you can sound like this, or if you sound like something that we are looking for, great, fantastic. Here it is. It's like, as opposed to being put in a box, which happens constantly on camera. I mean, yes, it's very rewarding when I had the opportunity to be able to do on-camera stuff, but if I had the opportunity to go back and do acting on camera again, I would. But with my life the way that it is now, it's like, I can't even imagine how I would even be able to do that, because I've got so many balls that are juggling up in the air. So
that's fair. What would you say is your signature that you bring to voice acting, or something you would like people listening to your characters to be able to take away?
That's a great question, and I know how to answer it. It's just that I don't know what the answer means, and I'll tell you what I mean when I say that. Okay. So and this kind of will lead into you as far as, because I know that you're a gamer, but I game stream sometimes on my Twitch channel, and sometimes I will have somebody who's watching me say, you know what? As soon as I was watching X, and this character popped up, I knew it was you. It's like, how do you know it's me? Like, sometimes the character isn't exactly like my voice and timbre, but I guess there's something that people hear that maybe just, it's like they know that it's me, and I don't know. I don't hear it, I guess, because I'm just me. But I guess I have a certain timbre or way of speaking, or, just a certain tonality that it's like, people, like, even if I have an accent, it's like, oh, I knew that was you. It's like, okay. I guess that's part of what, makes each of us unique. Just whatever we bring to the table. I don't know.
Absolutely. On the second part, what's something that you would hope that fans would take away from your characters?
I, as a actor, always learned that whether a character is good or bad or somewhere in between, they would not be who they are without having some sort of shred. And this is nothing that is in the writing. It's just like, I feel as an actor like I need to do this for each and every character that I play, no matter how evil they may be or how good they might be. They are human. Each and every single one of them is human. And what I as an actor have to bring to the table is whatever that backstory is that is never talked about in the actual storyline. So it's like, how did they get to be where they are? And that's something that I as an actor have to, put in there. And by doing that, I feel like in a way that helps make them more relatable. It's almost like you want to hate this character, but you can't. Because there's just something about them, and it's not like you can put your finger on it or something, but it's like, God, I want to hate this character so bad, but I can't. And it's like, and I hopefully, that's maybe what sets me apart from some of my other colleagues. Not that what they do is bad or, not good. It's just like me, the way that I was taught and what I learned through acting. It's like, I feel like if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be doing my job, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like your signature takeaway is a genuine connection. The fans are feeling connected with those characters you're voicing.
I'll give you a really relatable story, hopefully. So back in the old days, when we got episodes from Japan, they didn't tell us what the storyline was. They just sent us episodes one by one. I'm talking way, way, way back. So I'm talking Digimon days, right? Like Digimon Season 2 specifically. So it's like, maybe they gave us 5 episodes at a time, and that's all we had to work with. So we didn't know anything about that, but where I'm telling you guys like what I had to bring, into the background, obviously it helped the more you get into the series that some of that unfolds or unwraps like an onion. But when I was originally starting out, do you mind if I kind of go off on a tangent really quick?
Not at all. Go ahead.
And hopefully this will be relatable, because I do talk about this sometimes when I'm at conventions, and I feel like for anybody out there who's watching this right now, that this, for whatever you guys are doing, whatever you guys are getting into, whether it be, singing or dancing or cosplay or acting or whatever the case might be, or even if you're not, or gaming or, whatever. Even if it's not in the entertainment industry, even if you're just like a regular Joe Schmo person who just has a regular 9-to-5 job, but you want to be the best that you can be. So when I originally was auditioning for Digimon, they already knew, because they considered me to be a comedic actor. So they knew, it's like, because of what they already knew about Veemon, it's like, you're probably going to be a shoo-in for Veemon. So just go in there, do your best Veemon, whatever that is, and hopefully we'll be working with you. So at that point in time, when Saban still had Digimon and they owned the rights to it, I remember this like it was yesterday. So I was on the second floor of the Saban building in West Los Angeles. And they had this big giant marble table with all the sides. Sides are, for those of you guys who don't know, it's basically lines that the character has said that they just took out of some of the episodes and put them all smushed together. So that way, when you're auditioning, they can see your range of what you can do and what you can bring to the table. So they had each of the sides for all the characters for the show. And at that point in time, when it was under SAG's rules, you had 15 minutes to be able to audition, and you could do whatever you wanted to do. So obviously I did Veemon because that's what they wanted me to do. But I also saw, in some of the other sides, there were 2 other characters that kind of, like, wow, that might be interesting to try, because I don't normally get to play those types of characters. One of which was Davis, and the other one which was Ken, or Digimon Emperor. So I had both of those sides with me behind Veemon, which I did first. And when I was done with the audition, which, of course, as they had expected, it's like, you did great, thank you so much, we'll talk to you soon. And I almost second guessed myself, because I was walking towards the door to open it, go out and let the next actor come in and do their audition. But it's like I saw what time it was, and I had about 8 minutes left. And I went back to the microphone, which they weren't expecting. And I said, you know what, guys, I actually do have a couple more sides, and I was hoping that I might be able to audition for these. And they said, well, because of the time that it is right now, you'll only be able to audition for one of them. So what do you want to do? And I go, well, I actually saw this one character, the Digimon Emperor, so I was hoping that I could do that. And I don't know if you guys just heard the way that I said that. Like, it was a question, like, almost like an up, like, I wanted to do this. Like, is that okay? Without saying, is that okay? Like doubting myself. And they...
Oh, we got a spotty connection.
Side of the recording booth, if they press the talkback button. Otherwise, you can't hear what they're saying. You can just see them with whatever actions they're doing. And as soon as I said, I wanted to, I'd like to audition for the Digimon Emperor, on the other side, they didn't have the talkback button pressed, but the two main, directors who were directing it, plus some of the Japanese who had flown in from Japan, who were there for the audition as well. It's like, all I saw was this. It's like, okay, like a very disbelieving, doubting kind of like thing. And because they didn't know that I had the capacity to be able to do that kind of character, they weren't expecting it, of course. And then once I did it, and I finished my audition, and I think I don't know how much time I had left, maybe a minute, maybe 30 seconds, I don't know. But on the other end of that glass, after I was done with the audition, this was the reaction before they pressed the talkback button. Okay, thank you. That was really good. Okay, the point of that whole story was never second guess yourself. You have only as much control as you have with what you're able to do in your life. And some of those decisions are not in your hands. Sometimes they are. But when they're not in your hands and you basically just go for it and you do your best and you don't judge yourself and you just allow the universe to do whatever it's going to do to be able to either make it possible or not make it possible. But if you've done your best, that's all you can expect. Had I not done that, all I ever would have been known for that show was Veemon.
That is so awesome.
That is a really...
And talk about a great message for our listeners, too. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's like... So, dovetailing back into the whole humanity thing, as far as bringing humanity to the character, based on the limited amount of lines that they had smushed together from the first 5 episodes, it's like... Even without that, I couldn't just be evil, right? Because everybody can just be evil and have an evil voice and whatever. But it's like when you layer it with something that's like, I can't put my finger on that, but there's something about him that I don't know what it is, but it's like, you want to know more? You know, it's not like whatever. I felt like that's kind of what sets me apart sometimes, hopefully. At least that's what I would hope so. I don't know.
I think it shows, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, starting off, of the many characters you voiced or acted, which two do you think would have the most interesting conversation with each other?
Ooh. Which two would have the most interesting conversations with each other? Now, does it have to be two characters that I voiced?
Not if you don't want. If you've got an interesting idea, go for it.
Oh my gosh. I think, honestly, it would be amazing to see a conversation between Vexen and the captain who's the scientist in Bleach.
Oh,
Captain
Mayuri!
Kuretsuchi.
That would be, because that's your Kingdom Hearts, right?
Vexen
Yes!
and Mayuri,
Oh my
yes.
gosh! That would be a really crazy one.
I think that would be like something to see. That would be very cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's something that Vexen would just want to tell Kuretsuchi, or just like first impression of Kuretsuchi?
Like, if you want to be, don't be so strange.
Yes.
Play it more low. You have to be a little icier. You know what I'm saying? Just, yes, this extravagance that you exuded. Tone it down a little.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. All right. Well, go ahead and go. Nerdy hobbies and passions. What are some of your favorite nerdy things?
I am an avid, like, I can't even capitalize it enough, like in bold text, biggest letters possible. I am an avid Injustice 2 gamer. I don't know why. I just got attached to that game so much. I'm such an avid gamer that I have my own league on Injustice 2 Mobile, and because nobody else has joined my league, I have 2 other accounts, so I play 3 different accounts on that game, and I'm the league owner.
That's awesome.
Oh my god. Yes.
That's awesome.
That's so great. PC versus console for gaming.
Oh, it depends on the game. It depends on the game. I will say one of the most beautiful games to this day that I've ever played on a PC, which I still have an account for, I just don't play it as often anymore, is Guild Wars 2. If anybody knows that game. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Oh, just beautiful to look at. And the music and the acting and everything in it is just amazing. But I am a PlayStation person myself. And so whenever I'm game streaming, I see you guys approve.
We got a long standing competition over PC versus console.
Okay.
I'm console. I'm winning so far, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, you're winning.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I did game as far as just the game streaming that I do. It's from my PlayStation. So yeah.
Awesome. That is the best console. I mean, you can't beat it. PS2 is literally the best console of all time. PS3, 4, and 5 are great, but they have not come close.
Well, the 5 now has a setting where you can change the startup to the PS1 or PS2 startups.
Nice.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. All right.
They did that for the, 30th anniversary for the PlayStation, so...
Long live the PlayStation.
So if you set it to a PS1 or a PS2 setting, and let's say you have a PlayStation 5 game, does it make it slower on purpose?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think
I have to find out.
Or more like, like not as clear in terms of what you're looking at, like more boxy, like Minecraft?
Oh, man. That would be an interesting addition.
Just automatically downgrade to the 2D polygon animation.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, is there anything you'd like your fans to know?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, if anybody ever does want to see Rage Mode, because that's the kind of gamer that I am, my Twitch channel is the Digimon Prince. That's where you can find me. and DSPS, DSNPS. That's my Facebook one. Blue Sky is voiceover prints. Let's see. Obviously, if any of you guys are not Bleach fans, but you've heard a lot about Bleach from some of your friends and it's like something you want to get into, I will give you guys some word of advice. Go online, Google it, Bleach filler arcs or Bleach filler episodes. You can avoid all of those and just get the same content without watching all that stuff, except for the Bount arc. You must watch the Bount arc, and that's only because...
That's exactly how we watched the series, and I told her to skip it. Now we need to go back and watch.
The only reason I say that is, and this is just me personally as an actor, there's actually some really good stuff in there, and it actually does tie in to Thousand Year Blood War. Some of the characters that are in that arc do tie in later, but it's great. It's great stuff, and that's before I started Thousand Year Blood War. That's actually what I did. So that's how I'm able to recommend it to everybody else, because I can save you guys the time-consuming trouble of watching every single episode. It's like, oh my god, this does not make sense. So.
Absolutely. On that note, when this interview drops, at least, the season finale will drop with Thousand Year Blood War arc. What would you like the fans to know about season finale, or your thoughts on the big, I think it's an hour-long special we're getting? Yeah.
I know why they did some of it. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's like, I really wish they didn't have to do what they did to, like, the ending. It's like, oh no, why? Why? And it's like, I'm not from Japan, so I don't know the thought process behind it, but I would imagine it was like, we have to have this in there because we've had it in some of the Bleach, episodes in the past, and it's like, now is our time to be able to put it back in. And it's like, when a character talks about previous stuff that's already happened, that you've already seen, but now they're doing it in a different way from their point of view or their perspective, and it's like, I know I saw this already and I get that, but then it's like they go off on these weird tangents. Like, I don't know if you guys remember when Cone used to do that at the end of some episodes, and it's like, why is this happening? What? It's not Cone who does it, it's somebody else, but it's like, oh my god, no.
That's fair.
But I will say this, times instead of just once, because of everything that was in it and all of the details, because this basically is like piecing everything together from the previous 29 episodes that already had dropped between seasons 1, 2, and the end of 3. So I promise questions will be answered. Maybe not the way that you had hoped that they would be, but there's obviously a reason for it. And you won't be displeased in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, it'll probably give you warm and fuzzies in some places, but also bring in blocks of Kleenex, because there are parts of it that is just like, ugh. Not gut-wrenching necessarily, but it's like, it makes sense. And now it's like, oh my gosh, you just want to pet some of the characters. It's like, it's okay. I would say out of everything that I've recorded so far from Thousand Year Blood War, this is probably it. This is the one episode that it's like, okay, I'm good.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, we are so looking forward to that season finale and, of course, the final season and hopefully some, wrap up of all these dangling threads they've got. We are so excited to see you in season 4.
And fingers crossed for the Hell arc.
Me too.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for talking nerdy with us today, Steve Prince. Thank you for being on the show.
All right, guys.
All
Take
right.
care.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.